guys. I'm going to just kind of read through the situation presented here to start. So this reads, there are 10 people that walk up to a shooting gallery, like a carnival game, at Cedar Point. Each person is a perfect shot, meaning that they will not miss the target they are aiming at. 10 cardboard ducks appear simultaneously, and each shooter picks one of the 10 ducks at random, takes one shot, and hits the target. All shooters are playing together, but do not consult one another before shooting. This means multiple shooters can pick the same target, which they would all hit. Our task is to design and carry out an experiment to estimate the average number of individual ducks hit after all 10 people have shot. We're going to carry out 20 different trials and use your data, or that data, to estimate the probability that more than 6 ducks get hit. Does everybody feel okay? We can envision what's happening in our mind? Okay. So we ask first, what is the goal for the experiment? Yes.
Is it like to see the probability of that more than 6 of the ducks will get hit?
Yes. What kind of probability are we calculating then? Experimental. That is correct. So maybe add in that word. We're filling out the start of our activity right now. You're welcome to follow along and do that as we go.
Yes. Come on, Edgar.
I didn't say it. Maybe you can ask your classmate to repeat it.
What?
Not just how many ducks.
More than 6.
Yeah. Yeah, that's better. So the next thing we're going to do is create a plan to do this. How are we going to go about doing this? Unfortunately, we're not perfect shots, meaning that if you shoot at something, you might not hit it. The people in this experiment are. What's that? Still, I don't think going to Cedar Point's going to help us. So, rather, what we'll do is we're going to simulate this using our calculator. So you should take out your graphing calculator. If you do not have one, you will need one. So I have 4 to borrow. If you don't have yours, it's a race to make sure you get one before they're all taken. You could plug yours in so you have some charge. You can probably unplug the one that's sitting there. That's been there for over 24 hours, I think. So,
Thank you.
Sure. All right. So let's talk about how we're going to do this simulation. So let's talk about how we're going to do this simulation. We're going to assign a set of numbers to represent the ducks. How many numbers are we going to need?
1.
No.
Times 10.
No.
Oh.
How many ducks are there?
There's 10 ducks.
There's 10 ducks. Great. Everybody's okay?
Yep.
And then we're going to randomly choose 10 numbers between 1 and 10. Those random 10 numbers that we're going to generate are going to represent which duck is shot at. Okay? So for example, don't follow along with me yet, because you guys need to do something first before we can follow along. So if I do random integer from 1 to 10, and then I pick 10 of them, that's going to represent the first person shot at duck 1, the second person shot at duck 2, third person shot at duck 1, the fourth person shot at duck 9, etc., etc. Is everybody okay with that? Okay. Before you guys begin doing the simulation, we need to put a random seed into our calculator. So on the main screen of your calculator, just listen first, you're going to type in your birth date. So for example, mine is February 2nd, 1981. So I'm going to press 2281. No zeros unless they're in the second digit. Okay, and just the last two numbers for your year. No. If it's your birth year, were you born in 27 or 2007?
So 727.
2006.
Is your birthday in 2007? Then yes. But you're...
Wait, what? No. So you do.
Okay, listen. When you say your birth date to someone, I'm born February 2nd, would I say 0202? No, that's an insane thing to say, right? You just say 22. When you say your birth year, do you say 2007 or do you say 07?
07.
You just say 07. So just like you would tell your friend, like, what's your birth date? 2281 is what I would say, right? So type it the same way on your calculator. Has everybody got it? Now that I've done that, I'm going to press the STO button, which is just above the on, makes that little arrow. And then I'm going to press the math button. I'm going to go over to probability, and I'm going to pick RAND, R-A-N-D, and then just press enter. What that does is it sets everyone to have a different random seed, so the calculator will not generate the same random numbers for everybody. Okay, the way the random number generator on your calculator works is the random seed determines the output from the random number generator. So if we all have the same default random seed of 0, which is what your calculator's default would be, we're all going to get the same numbers output, which we don't want to have happen. Now, I took this, made the assumption that we all have a different birth date, which is probably fair in a room of only 16 people or whatever right now, that nobody has a repeat birthday. But that's, everybody good? Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'll do math, probability, and then random int. You guys can follow along now. It's fine to do that. That we've made a new random seed for everyone. Now, your guys' newer versions of calculators have a better operating system, and this probably opens up a menu. So your lower would be 1, your upper would be 10, and your n would be 10. Everybody's okay? So I'll do that, and I'll press enter. And now, on my sheet, what I'm going to do is where I got a 7, so I'll put a check mark in my 7 spot. I got a 4, I'll put a check mark there. I got a 1, put a check mark there. 4 again, no need to check it again. Another 4, no need to check it again. 8, put a check mark. 7, no need to check it again. I'm going to scroll over now and look at the rest of my numbers. So I have a 6, put a check mark there. A 2, put a check mark there. 7, no need to put another check mark. So if I count up my check marks, I have 6 check marks. In that round, the shooters would have hit 6 unique ducks. And then you're going to do that 20 times. Is everybody okay with that? So if you just press enter again, after you've done it once, it'll just do it again.
Oh, so we do that 20 times.
Yep.
So if you go to it, like we have more twice, do you like check it twice?
Nope.
Wait, then,
Because all we're doing is counting the unique ducks that were hit. Because if 4 was hit 3 times or 4 times or 12 or 10 times, doesn't matter. It gets 1 check mark. Feel good? Okay. So you do this 20 times, and then I'll check in here in a minute to shepherd us to the next step. All right, Joe, you ready? Oh, what's up? You raising your hand? Oh, sorry, Joseph. You ready? Okay. So how many 1s did you get for your dot plot? So you're looking at your dot plot. Nope, on your dot plot, on the back, turn it around.
Did you give us a lot of 6s?
Okay, and then
I already got 5 6s.
And then 1.
Mine are all 6s.
It's supposed to be 4, 1, 0.
okay. Great. Paulie, you're next.
0, 0, 0, 0, 2. I got
Just
10, 4.
Thanks. I see other hand. Geraldine.
0, 0, 0, 2, 2, 5, 7. Actually, it's in 6. It's supposed to be 6. Sorry. 6,
Okay.
7, 3, 0.
Okay. Ava.
0, 0, 0, 0, 4, 7, 6, 3, 0, 7.
Okay. As I'm typing your guys' stuff in, after I've called on you, double check that I typed in the right numbers. So, Olivia.
0, 0, 0, 2, 2, 9, 3, 4, 0.
Okay. Fran.
0, 0, 0, 2, 6, 4, 4, 2, 2.
And then 0?
Yeah.
Okay. Tori.
0, 0, 0, 0, 6, 8, 6, 0, 0, 0.
Okay. Elise.
0, 0, 7, 8, 2, 0.
Thank you. Joey.
0, 0, 0, 2, 6, 3, 5, 1,
3 9s. That's correct. Joey, 3 9s. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay. Ava, what's up? Oh, sure. Grace.
0, 0, 0, 0, 2, 7, 7, 4, 0.
Okay. So I
1.
think we got 2 absences, so we got some blankies down here at the bottom. Alessa.
0, 0, 0, 0, 5, 3, 5, 2, 0.
Okay. Nora.
0, 0, 0, 0, 2, 9, 9, 0, 0, 0.
Okay. Maria.
0, 0, 0, 0, 5, 6, 2,
Okay. Bryn.
0, 0, 0, 1, 3, 5, 10, 1, 0.
Okay. Who are my last two? Nate?
0, 0, 0, 0, 2, 8, 9, 1, 0, 0.
Okay. And Sam, are you my lasty? Okay.
So slow.
I'm guessing.
10, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 6.
Okay. All right. So that's the class data all grouped together. So if I am going to calculate the probability of who gave me their data first, Joe, is that you? So first thing we want to ask ourselves, are these events disjoint or overlapping? They're disjoint, right? Either I get 7 hits or I get 8 hits, but I can't get both, right? Everybody agree? Okay, so in terms of computing the probability then, all I need to do is the probability of, if I want the probability of greater than 6, that's the probability of 7 or 8 or 9 or 10, correct? Because they're disjoint, that's going to be the same thing as the probability of 7 plus the probability of 8 plus the probability of 9 plus the probability of 10, correct? So if I'm Joe, I just add up my hits for 7, 8, 9, and 10. So 8 plus 4 plus 1 plus 0, and divide it by not 10. Not 100. 20, the total, right? And that'll give you your probability. So that's the first conclude on the back page.
Like my specific data.
Yeah, for your specific data.
And you don't add them. It's going.
What?
You add them?
Yeah, man, we just did it.
I was lost.
You have the same information on your dot plot, right? You gave me the numbers from your dot plot, so just count your dots. Just count your dots for 7, 8, 9, and 10.
And divide and then add those.
And then divide by 20.
You get 20 over 20 if you add them all.
It's ours.
Oh boy.
Read the front page again, Nate.
Over than 6.
Read the front page again. What are we trying to do?
The probability greater than 6.
There you go.
Yeah.
So should I count
5?
5 or 6 or 4 or 0?
No.
No.
So just 7 and 8.
And 9 and 10.
Mine's 15. Well, I just did it. I don't know if you guys.
Yeah, and then you can do the same thing for the class data, right?
So we should have the 260 trials at its option. Because there's 13.
What?
Sorry, I was
So for the class data, there should be 260 trials, right? Because each person did.
Well, we have 16 rows on up here,
Yeah, but there's only 13 on here.
so just do 2 more rows.
Oh, we have to like put it in.
Sure.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, yes, if there's only 13, but we have 16, right?
Can you scroll up a little bit so I have all the data?
Because I usually would do this with partners, but there wasn't going to be very many. Felt like it was just going to be easier. Everybody do their own. It was good practice. So I just don't have enough rows in my table, and then it didn't fit on one sheet. So I only wanted one front and back. No, man, you do the whole thing. You copy the table that's on the board.
Oh,
Oh, you just like.
all right.
What?
I'm saying there's 18.
16.
Yeah, but he wants you to just do the rest of it.
Right. Who cares?
Oh, no. Each
Just worry about the totals then.
Probabilities for each of us is the. Yeah, it's
Like right in like the other 3.
Or just split the last 3 cells,
No, then we do the.
and like write, like make an extra 3 spots in the table, like whatever you want to do, man. Like it's fine. Get creative. You guys are all like, you're the best and brightest of Notre Dame prep. We can figure out how to get like 18 rows into a table with 13 spots in there. I trust that you can do this.
I did.
Probably should.
Huh? If I just threw this at you and was like, do it, you would have figured it out.
I don't know. I don't like how it's like dark. Like the sun, the lines are like I can't see the pencil. Yo, bro, I'm not like.
I know, this is stressing me out. The first 3 rows are all 0.
You mean columns?
I'll go join. I just went more. What? My friend Nick Murray.
It's not working. So I don't have a charge.
You want me to go your way?
Does it work this morning?
No.
I'll try again.
Yeah.
What is he doing?
I'll be back in a second. Simmer down.
Can I open this automatic one? I can't.
Sure.
No, I set it down and it's.
Yeah, I'm going down to 13. My ADHD, I'm so bad.
What happened? What?
No, I did something.
Oh, it's like
Not with yours, no.
It's like I copied and pasted it into OneNote. So if somebody wanted to look at it on their tablet instead of having to read it off the board, they could do that.
No, I put my numbers in.
That's why I shaded some of the rows so it'd be easier to follow the rows. Nate.
Oh my god, I
Yeah,
messed
man.
up. What the foot?
What's the only part that really matters for the table? The totals, man, at the end. It's the only part that really.
Yeah, so
That's the only part that really matters.
I just put myself in.
I don't know, Nora. What's the point of any of it?
Math is not off. I don't even know what's going on. I just want to, and then if we didn't hit it, like recall and stuff.
The problem is it's not random. You know, like we could have had everybody like pick a number, but that's not random either. Because you guys would be like, 7's my favorite, I'm just picking that every time.
What tab is this little guy on? It's called activity.
Chapter 8 activity data.
No.
Nice.
Sync your one.
Or
Not
what?
sync your tab.
Sync your tablet then.
Alrighty.
Ava's can see it, so I know I did it.
So what the flip happened?
I don't know, man. But my name ain't Flip. I happened. It's me, the Flipper.
I already. Texas.
I can't draw the table. Can you just print it for me and then I just have to?
It's on OneNote!
I'm looking at it, but I cannot see it out.
So the top is so row that you're copying is going to be at the top of the screen, so you don't have to look through it.
No, no, pencil.
You
Okay.
got 12.
Okay. Let me just go row by row. What? Oh, okay.
It's not the traditional. I didn't actually. Yeah.
Okay, number 3.
3, 5, 7.
I was number 3.
Joe, it's the
So,
same thing.
so how do you do the class probability?
2.
You just use the totals. You do the same thing with the totals, man.
Same thing with the total.
Same thing with but with the totals.
Oh,
6.
I can't do more 8 plus 5.
You can't at 17, man.
I'm just really bad.
I worry for their future.
Well, it's even like you see my performance in both math classes. I just can't do it in my head.
I worry for our future as a nation.
I'm worried for my future.
Someone called on the phone yesterday, and they're like, "Hi, is there an extra fetus in the egg?" And I was like, "No." And she's like,
Extra
"Oh, okay."
fetus?
So I don't, no fee. And then she said, "So I don't have to pay more." And I was like, "No, you don't." She's like, "Okay, but like, what if I schedule it for like a week? Will I have to pay then?" I was like, "No, you don't have to pay now. You won't have to pay." And she just didn't get it. She started asking the same questions like 10 times.
Where do you work?
Poncho.
I don't know what that is.
It's like a Mexican restaurant.
Okay, so it's
She
a
was
restaurant.
So stupid. Oh my God.
She wanted to know if you have to pay for what?
Fee to sit. We have these like little igloos outside that you can sit in.
Oh, so the special seating.
Yeah, but she kept asking, like, she's like, you know.
I thought
we're
you said,
mountain.
do you have a fetus in an igloo?
No,
And I was like,
Wait, why did I do that too?
I was very confused at where you were working and what possibly this person was asking for.
Asking her over and over and over, and I was like, no. And I was like, she's like, oh, do you have to reserve it? And I was like, yeah. And like, I was just like, you have to have a reservation like at least a day ahead. And the very select time that I'm for. And she's like, oh, okay. So like, could I make it? Like, I was thinking like more like a week in advance, and I was like, make it a week in advance too. You just have to make it. That's the thing. She just didn't get it. She just,
Yeah, be like, would you like to make a reservation to sit in the igloo?
yeah.
That's what that's what I would have been like. Just let's make these yes and no questions
And I was like,
for you.
I was like, what time were you thinking for? And she was like, I don't know. I have to go back to my son, but can I have my name? And I was like, no.
That sounds like my
No.
mom trying to call for
Yeah,
reservation.
like, I'm not gonna talk it out with you.
She's
Tell me what you
I would
want.
be like, I'm gonna put you in for 6:30. If that doesn't work, you can call back and cancel and try to
No,
reschedule
because
it.
like there's another call might come in. It's for 6:30, and it's like I can't.
Well, I'm gonna put you in for this time. If that doesn't work, you can call and cancel.
I just
But-
told her, you call me back when you have it figured out. I'm not really figuring this out.
Or I've been like, oh, sorry, to take a reservation, I need a time and a date.
I need a time, a phone number, and a date.
Oh man, that's a tough one.
So what
And a date. But I don't. She can't figure it out. Any of it.
Not even her name.
No, she didn't tell me your name. She's like, okay. That's a very low.
Well, yeah, but what about only 13 miles?
Okay, so maybe wow.
No, change that. Just look at
Okay, I did see
Geraldine, the number's in the table.
Oh, is that okay?
No one's. Do you think I'm going to go through and check every single one of your numbers?
You do.
No, but do I look like that person?
No.
Do I ever? Do I ever?
Bother me.
Okay, well that's a you problem then, right? I was trying to give you an out, but if you're like I can't take it because that's who I am, that's okay. So if you finished with your activity, what we'll transition to next is working on our IA calculations. So you should, after you finished your activity, take out your tablet, open up your IA data in Excel. So if it's in a Google Sheet, save it as a CSV or an Excel file or something, export it, because I can't help you in Google Sheets. Yes, this is a 20-point homework assignment. You may turn it in if you are finished. I'd be happy to take it today. Sure.
What's the total?
It's down at it's the last it's the last row on the table.
Oh, there you go. It's one next time. Okay. Oh no. Excel should work though, right? Or does it not? Is there an Excel on
Here, you can check all your guys. If you want to check your work, there's all your answers on the side.
I just couldn't fit all the trials.
Yeah, I don't care. It's fine. NBD.
It's 101 plus 35 plus 6 over 3.
Yeah, it's just there. I guess I could have used a group, assigned everybody a group number and used that as your random seed. But I like just doing your birthdays.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Oh, 80.
But when I was going to add 3 rows to the table, I'm like, I don't want to do that.
That really changed my grade.
It's like the hardest thing you've ever done.
I see what now it's 80 instead of 60 somewhere.
Is something like this going to be in the quiz or test?
Sure.
Shooters!
What? Well, don't do that.
Me too.
Thanks. Sure. There you go.
Mr. Brian Sprague sounds like diamonds in our necks.
I mean, we knew we were gonna test one. Yeah, but it was kind of
Thanks, dude.
But at least
Yeah.
Because every time I open Word, this comes up, and I don't know why.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Blue, how do we put the sheets into an Excel spreadsheet?
We're drinking some of them and they do with it.
It's okay. That's an English teacher question. I'm not going to help you there.
Still got a heading.
You're not supposed to use what's on this. He said it 20 million times. I have a Google document.
All right. So I'm going to talk through the start of the doing calculations here. If you have your stuff and you're ready to go, you can follow along. If somebody, I know some of you guys have some extra data processing from your sheet or from your survey where you had like some additional questions that you had to total up the responses for or something, right? Some of you guys that did happiness or anxiety or whatever related things have an extra little data processing thing to get through that you're probably not ready to go because that number is your independent or your dependent variable or whatever. So I'm just gonna work with this is a hypothetical. I made up all these numbers. This isn't real. It doesn't mean anything. This is just me making up some stuff, okay? So this is my IA. I have height and shoe size are my two variables. So what I'm going to do first here is I'm going to create a two-way table because I need that two-way table in order to do my chi-squared calculation. And this will be the determiner whether I've collected enough data or not, if I can get the conditions for my chi-squared test to fit. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by highlighting both my columns of data. And I'm going to sort it according to one variable. And then I'll figure out where I want to make my breaks at. It'll be a little bit of a guess, and then I'll sort the other column and kind of do the same thing, and I'll show you guys. So I've highlighted this, and then I'm going to press the Data tab up here at the top. I'm going to press the Sort button, and I want to sort my height, and I'll go smallest to largest. Now, before I press OK here, I'm going to double check that I've highlighted all of my data, both my independent and dependent variables. Got to highlight them both because you need them to stay together as ordered pairs. Okay? Yes, what is the possible questions right now?
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Okay. Sorry. If you have like the extra questions, like you did like the survey, like creating happiness, for example, how do you highlight the both of them? Since you have like the responses with like, okay, look, I was happy or feeling this.
So the survey that you did also has like a way to add up the responses to turn it into a number.
Okay.
So you have that additional data processing step of taking those responses and turning them into a number. Okay? And that's the number that you'll use as your dependent variable. Is that like happiness rating or whatever you want to call that number? Does that feel okay? Okay. All right. So I'm going to hit OK now. And what I'm basically going to do is try to see if I can split this data into like 3 sections. So maybe I'll take everything up to 66 here. And I'll color those a color. And I'll make, say, maybe up to 70 here. And I'll do those a different color. And then I'll do like everything after 71. And I'll make that a 3rd color. So in my heights, I'm going to go like 61 to less than 67. And then I went 67 to less than 71. Yeah. And then I did 71 plus. And I'm going to recolor code these columns or these titles for myself so I remember what this means, because it makes my life a little easier later on when I do my counting. Everybody feels okay? So now I'm going to repeat the same process, but I'm going to do it for my other column of data. So I'm going to highlight everything again. I'll do data, sort, and this time I'm going to sort my shoe size column, smallest to largest. And I'll do, say, like, okay, 7 to 9. That looks pretty good. So I'll color that, say, yellow, and then 10 and 11, that's probably pretty good. Color that green, and then a 12 up, I'll color that the darker green. So I have here 7 to less than 10, and then 10 to less than 12, and then 12 plus. And I think I used yellow, dark green, or light green, and then dark green. So far, so good? You don't have 3 variables. What do you think you have what are your 3 variables you think you have? So you're going to add up your total number of activities, and that's going to be your dependent variable, or your independent variable, and your GPA would be your dependent, right? So you have a little extra data processing step. Okay. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to count what goes in each of these boxes. So I'm going to look and say, okay, what is light yellow, or what is yellow and dark red? So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, not this one, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I'll put an 11 there. And then I want to count, okay, what's yellow and light red? So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that are yellow and light red. And then I don't have any that are yellow and orange. Then I'm just going to keep on doing this, moving down. So 1, 2, 3, green and dark, and then 4, 5, green and dark reds. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, green and light reds. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops, I think there's 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I'll go down. So I have 4. I have 1, and then 4, and then let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so that's what I'm doing to start. So I'm making this table. So next thing I'm going to do is I want to sum up all the values in the table. I want Excel to do this. I don't want to do it by hand, because if I end up changing my labels and having to regroup things and recount stuff, I want those totals to automatically update. So I'm going to go in my total box here, and I'm going to type the equal sign. And then I'm going to type the word SUM. And I'll double click on the sum option, and I'm going to sum the 3 things above it. Close my parenthesis and press enter. Now if I click on that box and I grab the little, see the extra little square at the corner there? See that little tiny green square there at the corner? See how my cursor changes from the white plus to the black plus? If I then left click on that and drag to the right, it applies that same formula but it's going to update it. Now it's adding up the cells above it, and this one adds up the cells above it, and this one adds up the cells above it. And I'll do the same thing here. So again, SUM, double click, and I'm going to add up the column now. So again, I left click and then drag, press enter, and then grab that little corner and drag down. So I filled in my observed counts table. Now to get my expected counts, let me copy in these labels. So to do an expected count, who remembers the formula? Row total times column total divided by overall total. Again, I'm going to use an Excel formula to do this in case I have to update my table. I want these calculations to update automatically. So I'm going to start by doing an equal sign. I'm going to take my row total. I'll do shift and the number 8 to make the time sign. Then I'll click on my column total, and I'll do the slash for divide, and then my row total, or my overall total, excuse me, and then press enter. That expected count is acceptable, right? What am I looking for the expected counts to be? Greater than 5. So I'm going to just keep on doing that same set of calculations over and over again, and hope that my expected count each time is acceptable. If it's not, then I might have to go back and reorganize my data, but so far so good. Oh no. What do you see? Yeah, it's less than 5. What a bummer. I'm going to finish doing this because when I reorganize things, they'll all update for me automatically. So I'm going to keep on doing this even though I know that I'm going to have to do a reorganization here. So this guy's a problem, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at either the columns left and right of this number or the rows above and below the number. So if I look at the expected counts below it or above it, or to the left of it, or to the right of it, these are the biggest of them, right? Everybody see that? You guys agree? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to take a little bit from that orange category and push it into that light red category. So I'm going to resort this by heights so I can see exactly what I'm doing. So data, sort by height, okay. And I'm going to look. I wonder if I just push this 171 that's left over, if I push that into the light red, if that'll do it. So let's try doing that. So let's make that guy light red. So this instead is going to go to less than 72. And this one will go to 72 plus, where we're going to gain one value here and lose one value here. And I think that did it. Right? You guys see what I did there? Was able to accomplish that 4.8 turned into 512. I now have met the expected counts condition, so I'm able to do my chi-squared test effectively. So that's our first step, is to get our observed counts table built and check that we meet the expected counts condition for a chi-squared test. Now, the more data you guys have collected, like I have only 50 data points, the more difficult that kind of becomes. So what I would ask for you guys to do by next class is to try to do this step, is to sort your data into a two-way table and do your expected counts. And if you have trouble, if you get one of them that doesn't meet the 5 greater than 5 condition, we can troubleshoot that next class. Everybody's okay? Okay, I'm going to continue on for a moment and do some more of our additional calculations, okay? Sound all right so far? Okay. So what else do we need? We need an x mean. We need a y mean. We need an x standard deviation. We need a y standard deviation. We're going to need to calculate our chi-squared. We're going to need a p-value for that. We're going to need a r value. Actually, let's do the r before the chi-squared and the p. I might have to re-look up how to do that. I'm not sure I remember off the top of my head. Okay. So to do the x mean, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, next to it, I'm going to type the equal sign, and I'm going to use a built-in Excel formula. So I'm going to start typing the word average, and I'm going to pick the one that says average. So I'm going to double-click there, and then I'm going to highlight by using my left mouse button my height column, which is representing my independent variable. I'll type a parenthesis to close it and press enter. There's my x mean. I'll then do the same thing with my y variable. Oops. I need to type average first. Average. And then I'll do my y column. So there's that. Very easy because Excel has the formula built in for us, right? And then I'm going to do my x standard deviation. So I'm going to start typing the word standard deviation. So the one I want is stdev.p. The P stands for population. And again, all I need to do to calculate this number is highlight my x variable or my x data. Likewise, I can do the same thing for my y's. How lovely is this, right? Pretty slick. Now, what I want to do next is calculate my value for r.
Hello, young lady.
Who remembers your equation for r? Well, close, right? That's close. But remember, we don't have lists in our calculator, right? So it was going to be our x1 minus, let's see, we're going to do the sum. Let's see, probably need some extra columns here, right? So let's just do this. So we're going to have the x1 minus the mean squared divided by the standard deviation, right? That's the formula. Double check that real quick. Oh, not squared. Okay. Now, important piece on this formula. I don't want the mean and standard deviations to update when I drag this. To lock those cells, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click in my equation bar here, and I'm going to use my arrows, and I'm going to put a $ in front of the letter and number for my mean, and a $ in front of the letter and number for my standard deviation. That locks them in place. And now I can just scroll, drag this down so I have all my 50 data points. And watch this. If I drag to the right and then drag that down, see what it's done? Is it, oh, shoot. All right. It updated for the, but that didn't update. So I need to change that to 21 and that one to 23. And now we'll go try that again. And then I multiply the two columns together. So I do this one times this one. And then I drag those all down. And then my R should be 1 over 50 times the sum of this column so there's my R value. So far so good. You can rewatch it though, right? Yeah. To calculate my chi-squared, what I'm going to do is observed minus expected squared divided by expected for each one. So observed minus expected squared divided by expected. And I'm just going to keep on doing this. So I'm going to have 9 of these little buggers because I have a 3 by 3 table. last one. So that's my chi-squared calculated value. And then let me remember how to do this. Okay. So to get the p-value then, what I do is I type equals again. I'm going to use a built-in Excel formula. So I want chi-squared distribution dot RT. And then I need my chi-squared calculated value. And then my degrees of freedom. So I have a 3 by 3 table. How many degrees of freedom do I have? 4. 3 minus 1 times 3 minus 1. So that's all of those, right? If I then want to make a scatter plot for my data, I'll highlight, oops, let me get the titles here too. I highlight all my data, and I'm going to hit Insert, and then the chart down at the bottom is Scatter, so I'll pick that. Now, this is pretty stinky looking, right? That's poorly formatted. Everything is squished in there. Nothing is labeled. I have no key or anything. So I'm going to muck around here a little bit with my edits here. So if I click in here, I'm going to change this into like height versus shoe size or something. And then if I double click down here, so axis outlines, let's see, what am I looking for here? I want there we go, chart title. Okay, so horizontal axis. Or what am I even looking for here? We'll do it. Pick it up more next